The Sawyer Mini is the most versatile personal filtration system available. It's a perfect solution for backpacking, hiking, hunting, fishing, scouting, international travel, and emergency preparedness. At a mere 2 ounces, the Mini fits in the palm of your hand and can filter up to 100,000 gallons of water from any freshwater lake, river, or stream. The Sawyer Mini has a 0.1 micron absolute pore size. It was tested to 10 million parts of bacteria and 1 million parts of protozoa without a single breakthrough. This is the highest level filters can be tested to, so we're confident these are the highest rates of filtration available.
And we're back. I'm Chris Evan, the CEO of Survival Dispatch. We have a special guest tonight, Travis from Sawyer Products. Good to see you, Travis.
Thank you.
We've got our in-house mad bomber, Mike Sterling, and our in-house Intel specialist, S2. So we're just going to jump right in. We used to do a bunch of boilerplate stuff at the beginning, Travis. We've moved it all to the end at the request of our viewers. So we just dive right in. And I've got a quick question for you to make sure that I have my head wrapped around this correctly. Would it be safe to say that Sawyer's goal is to solve the world's 2 greatest causes of human illness, whether it be bug-borne or waterborne illness?
Correct, but you forgot one thing. In our lifetime, our goal is to be able to use our water filtration systems and repellents to solve those in our lifetime. It's entirely feasible. It's entirely a funding and feasible solution.
That's awesome. Absolutely. So with that context in mind, Travis, can you share the story of the initial vision for Sawyer when it was started by Kurt, 1984, if memory serves me right?
Correct.
And has that vision changed at all over the years? And that sounds like Murphy's in the scene again.
Oh, I was grabbing my red filter. He might join us later, but no, you're kind of spot on. Kurt wanted to break away from the consumer markets industry he was in, and wanted to kind of not only call the own shots, but also use his business prowess to leave the world a better place.
Yeah, we're going to get into this, but he has done an amazing job. All of you have done an amazing job. Sawyer's just an incredible company. And
we're trying.
I don't know if you've heard this or not, but we've brought up Sawyer a bunch of times on Survival Dispatch News in the context of saving us from this ongoing nightmare with water treatment products. So 3 years ago, one of my buddies, Denny Chapman, that he had a farm, and he's moved back to Illinois, but he had a farm here in Central Florida, big retention pond, and the water was as turbid and nasty as you can imagine. Mm-hmm. So he took a bunch of milk jugs and filled them up and brought them over here, and we did a whole bunch of testing because it seemed like there was like a flurry of water treatment products being sent our way, none of them from Sawyer at the time, and everything failed except for, get this into, a $30 Brita countertop model. So we had, the big stainless steel ones that are like, 600, 700,000 bucks.
Yep.
The $30 Brita outperformed that. And we had all kinds of smaller products as well.
Sure.
And I was pretty frustrated because we spent a lot of time on it, Travis.
Sure.
And
that's what can happen in an unregulated industry.
Interesting. And I know Mike Sterling's got some comments on that, but I got to tell you, it really turned me sour on the water treatment products. So after that, every time somebody would approach us, I'd be like, man, I don't have the time or bandwidth to do this stuff. I was starting to form the impression that it was essentially snake oil, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to steal the mic, but that's why we don't subscribe to modern standards. We subscribe to our own. And that's why we have the Sawyer standard and why we are unwavering in what we deem to be acceptable. And when people say, why aren't you subscribe to this or that, we say because those are inadequate. So a grander scale of what you experience for yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, full disclosure to our audience, you sent us a bunch of products, we didn't pay for them, but a bunch of us had already used your products, especially Mike. Mike, I want to get your initial thoughts on Sawyer, then S2, and then Travis, when I come back to you, I want to talk about the Sawyer Foundation before we dive into the nuts and bolts of your products. Sure. Mike, go ahead.
So I did kind of the same thing when I was over Crisis Application Group. we took a bunch of products that basically just a whole bunch of people brought in, to include the Sawyers, and we just cut them open and started looking through. And one of your counterpart products, which I trash talk all the time, you know how you'll have your little seals top and bottom with your filtering matrix in between. There was no seals top and bottom. Right. There were no seals. So the water follows the path of least resistance. None of the water was being filtered. It literally is going around the filtering matrix. I was like, are you frigging kidding me? But the one filter that we had the most difficult time drawing fluid through, but it brought up the cleanest water, was yours.
So
worked out.
I got to throw this in here, Travis, just so you know. Mike, hold your hands up again for a second, please. So 30 years now, master EOD tech with all 10 fingers, because he crosses every T and dots every I. So if Mike says he's tested a product, it's not even worth the time and effort to go do it again, because he's that thorough.
I'm a little anal retentive when it comes to some things. So.
So are we, which is why that we set the bar so high.
You're my peeps.
That's awesome. S2, your general comments with regards to Sawyer?
I've been in the, I guess, prepping business for I don't know how many years. And one of the things that a lot of people tend to forget about is water. And, you know, I'm constantly on the lookout for different water sources and things like that. And I just happen to be near a big lake out here that if they turn the water off tomorrow, I'm going to be getting on my bike and going down there and hauling water up from that lake. And there's no being the fact that I fish in that lake, there's no telling what's in there, because I don't even eat the fish that comes out of it. So I bought years ago, I bought one of your gravity filters. I've used that. I keep a Camelback on my rucksack that has one of the Sawyer minis in it. And in fact, I just bought 2 Sawyer minis, one for each of my sons for Christmas. So
much appreciated. Much appreciated.
So there goes the surprise, huh?
Oopsie.
I'm just saying, you know, anyway, all technical stuff aside, Travis, if you could explain the Sawyer Foundation and the work y'all have been doing, it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. So one of the things that's very beneficial of being a privately owned company is that we can make decisions that are not profit driven, but intentionally driven. And so between us and our QC commitment, but also our international impact commitment, we had no idea our filters were going to be as capable as they were. And so once we realized the impact potential outside of just recreation, we felt like it was our duty and calling to bring clean water around the world. So yeah, at this point, we currently work with about 140 charities in 80 countries. It's actually a little bit more than that, but it's easy for us to stick to those numbers. So whether you buy a water filter, bug spray, the picaridin, the topical, the permethrin, the fabric treatment that we started selling to the military, any of those sales help fund our water relief programs. And the Sawyer Foundation is an extension of that. We are now a sub-S corporation. The foundation is 3 years old. And this is what allows us to expand beyond just water filtration, donations and implementation. It allows us to also offer funding programs for sustainable programs. Since we have some really awesome research programs going on. We have an awesome program going on in Mexico, Ciudad Victoria, bringing clean water in a variety of different all of our filters use the same fibers, but we have different form factors. So it's kind of a test to see like, all right, you have gravity filters, tap filters, and water bottle filters, see how they interact and work. And we're just happy that we're able to provide impactful products, just like we donated 24,000 water filters to Hurricane Helene and Milton families, and there was, I think, in total just shy of 90,000 Sawyer filters implemented and distributed through our various charity partners.
Man, that's very prescient on your part, Travis. That's exactly where I was going next, was to say that y'all been, it's not just international, it's not just poor countries.
Correct.
North Carolina and Tennessee, where they were heavily impacted, and Mike and S2 have both done some volunteer work on hurricane relief as well.
Much love for anyone on the ground. Yeah. So inevitably, a lot of the current water needs are international if you look at the global scale. But we're based in Safety Harbor, Florida, Tampa Bay area. So we're acutely aware of hurricanes and natural disasters. So we are always ready to respond to anything domestic or wherever the needs are. But inevitably, throughout the calendar year, the majority of the products or programs end up being internationally based.
Yeah, that's awesome. So before we dive into the questions, let's actually start with your current role with Sawyer, and how has that evolved over time?
Yeah, so I went full time with the company in 2008 after insisting that I wouldn't stay around in the company. And so we've continued to grow, and now I help oversee the marketing department overall. So whether it comes to helping write our customer service responses, work with print media, online media, working with our various retailers. We're a much smaller company than most people would expect. And as always, I'm trying to act like I'm more professional than I actually am.
Good. Same here.
Well, yeah. The older I get, the more I realize how common that is. So yeah, we're just trying to do what we can and make the right choice, even if it doesn't benefit us in the moment.
So with regards to the company culture, how does Kurt's personal values and beliefs influence the culture and operations of Sawyer?
They're absolutely fundamental. And I should have brought this up earlier. Kurt just dropped a new book, Sawyer Think. I should get some of those sent your guys' way. It outlines a lot of the business fundamentals that separate Sawyer from others, while also kind of reiterating a lot of common like business fundamentals. So rather than overly, look at you boys right on top of it, rather than overly trying to reiterate some common business practices, it basically tries to touch on them while offering kind of new additional outside perspectives. So it's if you want to understand how we think, the weird ways we think, that is a great way to catch a taste of the baseline.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to get this 100% right, so I'm paraphrasing, but I saw a quote from Kurt that said something along the lines of, "We believe nonprofits deserve some of ours." Does that sound about right?
Absolutely, yeah. His other go-to phrase is, "There's no U-Hauls in heaven, so why not spend it now and make it worthwhile?"
Fair enough. And we have the K9 crew has now showed up. When Travis first jumped on the studio, he had his dog Murphy in his lap. Just a little small guy, probably 60, 70 pound lap dog.
75.
Not a bad guess at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next thing I wanted to touch on, and we already kind of did already, but the quality assurance and quality control. So my question is this, is that you have a reputation of having the most consistent products in water treatment. Has that always been a focus, the QA QC, or is it just baked into the DNA of Sawyer? And then Mike next.
Sure. Baked into the DNA, but it became increasingly aware how much more variables there were in the water filtration space. So we had started in sunscreen, first aid, and then insect repellents, and then water filtration was actually the last category we got into. But in the refinement of that process, we learned how vulnerable these very the high likelihood of failure is in these very precise systems. And that's when Kurt and John made the unequivocal commitment to we have zero tolerance for failure rates, let alone for someone going out camping, hiking, or hunting. But when you're talking about people around the world, we can't say that a certain percentage of you are going to get a bad filter because it's cheaper this way. It became a foundational part of our water filtration commitment.
Yeah, appreciate that, Travis. So, Mike, you were telling us backstage before we went on that you got splashed in the face in Africa with water, and nothing good came out of that. Maybe you could share that with our audience, and then any other comments you have on QA/QC.
Yeah, so we were in East Africa, and we went down to Mombasa to get supplies before moving into Ethiopia, and I got splashed in the face, and I with some water just down near the docks, and I got amoebic dysentery and giardia at the same time. Nearly died. The problem was I was the only EOD tech on the team, and it really didn't start on me until we'd already gotten into country. So, and the docs were like, hey man, if we had a second tech here, we'd evacuate you to Germany. But as it is now, you're the only dude here. So guess what? We're going to support it here. We're going to pull you through this. Yeah. So I nearly died in East Africa. That was no fun at all. I think one of the big questions that comes on this stuff is, the quality control is outstanding on your products, man. I love it. I'm great with it. But can I kind of hop on this a little bit and talk about what is it that your systems actually filter out?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've got a question here from Point Blank 55. Do the Sawyer filters filter any chemicals such as I think he talks about? I think this is supposed to be glycophosphates or something like that.
So our most popular water filtration systems, our standard water filters will do your classic removal of all. Well, so there are 7 log bacteria, 6 log protozoa, and 100% of microplastics. So we'll get rid of all the harmful biological contaminants in wilderness water that will traditionally make people sick. It is overwhelmingly all that is needed for the majority of our international programs. We do also offer higher level of filtration and purification that can remove even more hard to remove contaminants like chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, viruses, PFAS, heavy metals, and again, back to the microplastics. But the majority of people don't have to deal with that on a more regular basis. Yes, that is possible, but it is not as easy to do on the longevity scale as some of our long-lasting filters. Unfortunately, not overly problematic. So whether it's international water sources or places like during Helene that had boil alerts, these filters will remove all the stuff that will make you sick, and then you don't have to worry about burning fossil fuels or boiling water, propane, this and that. So we do offer a range of solutions for your current or specific water contamination levels, but fortunately our standard filters are the solution for the overwhelming majority of international and domestic wilderness water contamination.
Okay, so we can reach out to you for different options.
Correct. Yes. So we have mechanical purifiers, the Select series, as they were called. I have one of my old ones here. So we have expanded into even higher levels of filtration and purification, but they are a very small portion of our market compared to kind of the domestic and global needs.
Well, next time I'm taking a contract overseas, I'm calling you first.
Send me your email address or send me your mailing address. I'll get one mailed out tomorrow.
That's awesome, Travis. Just before we go to S2, I want to ask you a quick question. So I'm sure you're familiar with the Environmental Working Group, EWG.org, and the work that they've done on water testing. So our audience is aware of this. So I won't go too deep into it, but we've lost several dogs to cancer. And our vet is a friend of ours. And when we went to him at first, we said, there's something going on here. We've never had this problem for 30 years. And all of a sudden our dogs are getting them. And he said, well, that's the breed, Staffordshire Terriers and Pit Bulls. They're known for that. So eventually I went to him, Travis, and took him some screenshots from EWG.org, and I said, Doc, you got to look at this. Like, I'm telling you, there's something going on in our water here. EWG says we have all these carcinogens in our water, like 500 times what they should be. And his face got really blank all of a sudden. He said, we lost our youngest boxer 2 weeks ago to brain cancer, and we lost our oldest boxer 2 weeks before that to brain cancer. And he said, I think you might actually be on to something. So we've got an RO unit on our kitchen sink, like under the counter and stuff. But I wanted to ask you about this product here, which you can screw directly to your faucet in your kitchen, restroom, even an outdoor hose bib. Does this touch any of the PFAS forever chemicals? So
that's still our same classic fibers that is removing your traditional contaminants, but it is not at that same level as our higher offering.
Gotcha. Okay, no, I appreciate that, Travis. Thank you. S2, have you got a question for Travis?
Yeah, actually I do. You've got different colors of the minis, and I don't see any information on your website that says why you have different colors.
This is a discussion that has happened a whole bunch of times. So yes, this is a discussion that had to happen. Everybody in the audience, please listen to this.
All of our standard water filtration systems use all the same 0.1 micron absolute hollow fiber membrane filters. And the different color variations or sizes in any of our models, you will still get the same level of filtration. The various color offerings are for personalization, preferences, or additional offerings. It started with a retailer request and then ended up being just kind of a fun I can't sound professional while you're dancing like that. I got distracted.
Right. This is my I was right dance.
I was trying to tie it up with a bow, but you distracted me.
And that's kind of what I thought too, because I'm like, certainly they would put that information up there on the website if there was something for that.
All the same filters, just it started with being able to differentiate each other's, and then just kind of expanded into different offerings, and then till the latest offering is this new emergency mini, the red mini, and that is the most affordable and minimal accessory option we've offered thus far, chasing down that around $15 to $17 price point. So all of our filters still hit the same level of QC, but yes, this is the newest and most affordable offering, trying to chase down that impulse purchase market that some of the other brands that we won't mention have built their reputation on.
I'm pretty sure that Mike was excited about the different colors because he was correlating it to the different colors of crayons that Marines like to eat. Right, Mike?
No.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, you need to make the purple ones.
You're in luck. It's coming out. Just approved the color. Just went to the printer. We have 2 new colorways coming out this year, expanding that's most approachable price point, trying to make things even more accessible. We are spoiled with the concept of economies of scale. So we're for making so many of these to try to make them impactful around the world. Why not chase down that price point and hopefully satisfy both of those itches while also allowing us to bring even more clean filters around the world.
Travis, I got to ask you this. So the Sawyer Mini, which is maybe a third of the size of some of the other products on the market that fall in this class, which, by the way, we have these in all of our get home bags, like every last one of them, plus, the bag with them as well.
Appreciate it.
Because it takes no room at all. Like, it's fantastic. And they're specified for 100,000 gallons.
Yeah.
That is a huge volume of water relative to other products, which are 1 or 2% of that at best.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just curious. It all boils down to the quality of the filter, I assume?
Yes. So, twofold. So, one, the main reason why our filters outperform and outlast theirs is the quality of our fibers combined with our QC. So that goes back to that Sawyer standard. So the fibers we use are around 75% stronger than the competitors, which is why they can both not only filter more, but also stand up to the much more rigorous backwashing which allows for the long lifespan. So if you go to Sawyer.com/downloads or resources, you can see we've done studies at Messiah University and other universities that have tested 30 years worth of water to verify that even after that level of volume, that they're still fully operational. And anecdotally, we've also had filters that have crossed the 12 to 15 year mark with some of our initial pilot programs internationally. So we have both the scientific data to prove that they're lasting that long, as well as the real world anecdotal evidence and further affirmation that these things are even more capable than we ever thought originally, and why we're so obligated to use these to provide clean water to people who truly need it.
So a few years ago, I had one of my friends get sick, and he was using one of your competitors' products, and he had used it once before and had no problems whatsoever. He put it back in his bag, and then he used it again on another hiking trip and got really sick. And the only thing that he could figure was the fact that it didn't have a protocol or an SOP, whatever you want to call it, for backwashing. So can you explain that, Travis?
Absolutely. So the core principle of our filters is use it to filter all the wilderness water or whatever your potentially contaminated water is. These filters are so lightweight and easy to use that it's foolish to not run your clean water through them when you have suspect water. And then literally all you have to do when you get back from your trip, vacation, hike, or mission, whatever you're working with, all you have to do is run clean water back through it the opposite direction. So you're basically, think of it as a glorified coffee filter. So you're basically forcing all of the stuff, the particulate and pathogens back out, like you were washing out your reusable coffee filter. And a forceful and thorough backwashing can restore up to like 98.5% of the flow rate. And again, that goes back to our fiber quality and fiber strength. And that's why you can basically have to backwash it with more pressure than what you filter with it. And then it can last a decade plus as long as you're maintaining it.
All right. Thanks, Travis. Mike, do you want to pick some questions from the audience?
Actually, I do want to toss in a couple of techniques and procedures just to make sure that things are clear for a lot of folks in the audience. Like I said, I am pretty anal retentive when it comes to water because I never want to, die of the screaming craps again. So, I mean, it's a thing. So first of all, always pre-filter. I mean, if you're going to save this, if this is going to save you so that it can save you, right? Save this so that it can save you. Pre-filter your water, even if it's just through a dirty t-shirt or a sock. I don't care what it is. Get the chunkies out. Okay. Do that first. And then, like I have on my system here, I've just got a 1.5 gallon vinyl dirty water bag. Okay. And that's a thing. So the next thing is filtration and purification are two completely separate things. If you have to ditch one of those, if you can't do both and you have to ditch one, go with purification. Okay. Filtration is beautiful, but if you can't do it, if you don't have a good filter available, boil the damn water. Okay. Do something like that. Okay. Now I'd prefer to filter and purify, but if you got to ditch one, you got to ditch one. And that's a limited circumstance, Travis. I'm not trying to edge you out or anything like that. I'm just saying,
hey, this is your moment.
Actual real life, if you're stuck, and all you got is a pot.
Sure.
All right. Boil.
We'll never dissuade people from boiling in the case of that situation. But
right.
I would go back to saying that most people domestically and internationally don't have to worry about purification.
Right.
So be aware of your current situation or contamination as much as possible. But we were very surprised and relieved to learn that the majority of contamination around the world can be solved by biological filtration, but also still want to be aware of your local contamination. And that's why all of our international programs now, we always test to see what they're dealing with so we can deal with it accordingly.
Right. And if you're drawing from water that, it's semi-clear, not really turbid, doesn't have a elk dead 5 meters upstream from you, one of these is probably going to handle just about anything that you need to handle, for the most part. Me, of course, again, I'm pretty anal retentive about that sort of thing. I'm gonna drop my bleach pills in there afterwards as well. But remember, always filter, then purify. So many people mix that up and try to go, oh, I'm gonna put my bleach in first.
I am not going to correct you. You're clearly well versed on this, but I want to reiterate the concept that the stuff that's going to make you sick is not stuff that you're going to see. So don't judge a water's safetiness by its clarity.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I was actually going to touch on that. The thumbnail for tonight's video that shows the bucket of that dirty water, that's essentially turbidity, where there's particulates in it and it's discolored like that. I want to state the obvious. We're a survival and prepping community. And when we talk prepping, we always counsel people, make sure you look after water first and foremost. You can filter for less than $100, 500,000 gallons of water with these guys. So the comment here, it's convenient as long as there's still stores supplying them. Well, if you're a prepper and you're prepping, you should have your water stuff squared away. So what happens during another summer like 2020? If you have 5 of these on hand, 500,000 gallons of water, that's pretty sufficient, I would say. And at the price point, $16, $17 a piece, why wouldn't you? So you shouldn't be waiting for, as Mike says, the fecal matter to hit the oscillating device. You should have this stuff in advance.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a tool. It's a tool you put in the toolbox. Use the tool for what it's for. Right. Just because I can hammer in a nail with a crescent wrench doesn't mean it's the right tool for the job. This is a great tool for the lightweight class side. And heck, you can use it in a lot of situations. It's great for that. It's a real multi-tool. So one of the questions we've got, Point Blank 55 has here, one last question. Is there a shelf life on these sets?
Yes. So I will answer that twofold. One, segueing from what you were just saying, our full-size filters come with a lifetime warranty. So these are the opening price point models, the most affordable ones. They still use the exact same fibers, but with the larger surface area of the full-size versions, you get a higher flow rate and that lifetime warranty. As far as shelf life, again, we put the same care and attention into all of our models. So all of our filters are designed to last 10 plus years if stored in a cool, dry location away from UV exposure. Once you've started using it, make sure you're maintaining it. Don't let it freeze and whatnot. But yes, all of our water filtration systems have a 10-year baseline shelf life.
That's a good shelf life compared to a lot of the stuff out there. It really is.
Thank you.
And that's the shelf life that you guys can back.
Yeah, and we've already gone past that, but that was our intention, was to be like, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. And so all the materials that was caked in from the get-go.
Nice.
All right, thanks, Travis. S2, back to you.
Yeah, I was wondering when somebody was going to see. I have a question.
I laughed when it came up, for the record.
We saw it. We were just ignoring you.
This is how I communicate, Travis.
I'm not mad. Let the record stand. You might have saw me recognize it when it switched.
Actually, I had a couple of things. Do you have any plans to come out with any units that would be for household under sink?
The short version is we are always exploring new technologies and new applications. At this point, I can't disclose what's potentially coming to markets, but we're absolutely always trying to stay relevant and push the boundaries. But at this current time, I don't have anything to tease you.
Okay, my second question is going to be, what does this do for filtering out fluoride?
That would go back to the Select series. Our higher level of filtration can, in fact, remove fluoride or other chemicals at higher concentrations that are problematic. But our standard filters again, still just concentrate on biological contaminants such as bacteria, parasites, and other more common illness-inducing pathogens.
Okay.
All right, thanks for that too, Travis. So I want to ask you, strategy-wise for Sawyer, what's been one of the most challenging strategic decisions for Sawyer, and how did y'all approach that?
Ooh, that's tough. I don't think that was in the notes you sent me, so I'm not prepared. I think the thing that were ongoingly surprised in is how much we still feel like a small fish in a big pond. We've been doing this for our international kind of program since 2008. And we always think that we're so close to being able to kind of keep that snowball off the hill and really start making more and more impacts. And yeah, so I think that's kind of been the biggest ongoing hurdle for us is figuring out how to get to where we want to be as far as impact potential.
Good answer, Travis. Kind of in the same vein, just drilling down a little bit further into innovation. What ways has Sawyer innovated, and can you highlight something that was a really pivotal innovation or expansion for Sawyer?
Yeah, well, one, we're again just going back to reiterating, we're always still trying to stay relevant and push the boundaries. But as far as linchpin, I mean, John Smith, our lead engineer, is the one who pioneered hollow fiber membrane filtration in this personal space. We are the industry leader in bringing this to the market. And then going back to that this is back when we were even before insect repellents. Colston and Sawyer, we were the ones that pioneered the permethrin fabric insect repellent for the U.S. military, and then further brought a lower concentration that was approved for civilian use. Yeah, we've been very fortunate and blessed to be pioneers in both of those industries, and hoping to maintain and hopefully expand.
Right on. Mike, I saw you nodding your head there, so I take it you have experience with their
with the permethrin. Yes, I want to thank you for coming out with something other than 6 easy steps to cancer.
This was before my time. I was a child, but I'll extend you're welcome on their behalf. Yeah. So for those who are unfamiliar, permethrin is derived from the chrysanthemum flower family. And the natural version synthesizes in the sun in a very short amount of time, but the synthetic replica bonds with fabrics and fibers, and the civilian formula can last for 6 weeks or 6 washes against mosquitoes and ticks, while also being non-harmful to any fabrics or finishes and completely odorless after drying.
I can attest to the odorless. I noticed when Bob put it on when he was getting eaten alive on our patio, I was waiting for that whiff, of repellent, and it wasn't there. There was none at all. Mike, are there any questions from the audience that you want to address?
Let's see. Billy Clow over here on the tube of views. He asked, does Sawyer have a water filter for shallow water well systems? And I was looking at that saying, well, I think the tap you could probably hook in between is an inline.
Correct. Yes. We do have some, short answer is yes. I don't extrapolate on his answer. We have dabbled in commercial and large scale water filtration systems, but currently we reserve those primarily for hospitals and maybe schools and commercial places internationally. It's a little bit outside of our lane, but given market size and interest, that could shift in time, but not currently a high priority for us right now as far as market size and serviceable scale from Sawyer.
Right. So, and I do have a question, and it just popped into my head, like some things always do. And I'm sure you're familiar with the Berkey filter systems. Mm-hmm. Okay, great systems for what they do. but there's been a lot of problems in the past. Are you guys, or is this the exact same answer as prior? Are you guys looking into getting into that scale of market, or that, I should say, that side of the market?
Depends on who you ask at the company. Something that I've been pushing to prioritize. However, given the kind of global program, I've been routinely told that we have bigger fish to fry than this market. I like to think that if we satisfied that market, that could kind of help us grow the international relief. But I don't call all the shots. But you can't solve everything. So we're trying to do our best to stay in our lane, especially given kind of all the circumstances and things going on right now. But Sawyer would love to offer that if possible.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, no, it's a great answer. I especially like the comment of staying in your lane.
Yeah.
I worked in business development for many, many years with Sun and Oracle, and it always comes back to me. You can be the skinny fox by chasing every opportunity in front of you and not necessarily eating all the time, or you can be the hedgehog and do what you're really good at, burrow for grubs, take them back to the den, get fat and happy. So the hedgehog beats the fox every time from a business perspective. It's a famous essay by Isaiah Bryant, The Hedgehog and the Fox. But anyway, S2, back to you. I think you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Was there a question there?
No, you're just in the rotation to come back to if you had any input or questions.
Well, I had questions, but I had another question before, but I forgot what it was. So we can move on.
Been there.
Hence the reason you see a pen in my hand all the time, because if I don't write it down, that's exactly what happens to me.
Well, to be clear, I'm sitting here running two computers at the same time while we're talking. So
fair enough. Travis, next one on legacy and future stuff. So what do you see as the enduring legacy of Sawyer?
I think, we have some fun small scale products coming out this year. Actually, some just dropped. I think Kurt's really excited about his book that just dropped. He's already got some podcasts and speaking engagements. Some universities are already planning on integrating that into their curriculum. So I think it kind of goes back to the whole concept of the future is unpredictable. We thought once we realized what our filters were capable, we thought we'd be further than we are right now, but we can't be embarrassed. I mean, right now we're approaching an easy 29 million people who have already have now clean water through a Sawyer filter. So that obviously,
wow,
no shame in the game. They're super proud, but knowing that we're frustrated that we can't be doing more already. So I think what we're hoping for is the success isn't always linear, but we hope by the time we're all done to be able to confidently say, whoever would have thought we would have been able to make this big of an impact.
29 million people. I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's an enduring legacy right there, if nothing else. So
so hoping to call those rookie numbers one day.
Right on. That's a good goal to have. That's what is typically referred to as a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, right? Jim Collins from Good to Great. Challenges. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced, and how were they overcome in general as the company?
Have faced? Also not in the notes, but happy to spitball right now. Yeah, I think the biggest ongoing struggle that we've faced is the fact that, again, going back to the idea that we're a small company trying to act like a big company. And so we've always prioritized the big retailers, trying to maximize kind of visibility and accessibility, but still outside of our niche in lane, there's other brands that are far more top of mind in the mass market. So whether it's repellents or water filtration, we would happily go to toe-to-toe with any of them in a one-to-one test. But by very nature, if you ask the mass market, we'd be on the smaller side of name recognition. So another hurdle we hope to and plan on surmounting.
Yeah, and I mentioned before we went live that we actually had a follower send us an email saying that they used to go to Walmart when your products were at Walmart, but when they went with another supplier, this individual stopped going to Walmart altogether. They lost their entire reason to go to Walmart.
That is what a massive compliment. Much love for whoever sent that in.
Absolutely. So Mike, back to you. It looks like you had something you were fixing to show and tell there, or no? No. Okay. I saw you.
No, I was just putting my water pack away.
Fair enough. Trying
to clean the house.
So on a personal level, Travis,
yeah,
what aspect of being, part of Sawyer gives you the most personal satisfaction?
I think we slightly touched on it. Whoever would have thought some people so small and so, I don't want to say ignorant, but just like no one ever thought that we'd be able to be doing this. And so it is both a blessing and now a responsibility of sorts. So what a unique and spoil of a opportunity of impact. So it can be frustrating at times, but it makes it easy to go to sleep at night of sorts, knowing that you're trying to leave the world a better place and use your powers for good. And
no question on any of that stuff for sure.
Yeah.
You've had a huge impact. So Mike and S2, we're basically at the end of chapter 1. So before Travis leaves us, is there any final questions or comments you want to make, Mike, and then S2?
Yeah, I think Travis was going down that road, and I'm going to reiterate. A lot of people go to bed towards the end of their life and ask themselves, did I make a difference in this world? Travis, you and everybody at your company, you don't have that question. All right. You're never going to have that question. You guys are saving lives out there. And that's a beautiful thing, because let's face it, dirty water, historically speaking, has killed more people than war, religion, and disease. Period.
Definitely up there.
Well stated, Mike. Absolutely. S2, any parting thoughts for Travis?
Yeah, Travis, I just wanted to thank you for what you did for our state here.
Honestly, no, thanks to anyone that was on the ground. It was honestly entirely possible through the efforts of the organizations and people on the ground. It was our pleasure. Do the right thing, even if it doesn't directly benefit you. That's one of the biggest mantras and whatever Sawyer kind of stands by.
Yeah, just awesome, Travis. And I really appreciate you joining us tonight. For everybody out there, Sawyer.com, and check out all the products that Travis has mentioned tonight. We've got a bunch of them here. I sent Travis a screenshot of a bunch of stuff we bought off of Amazon in addition to what he sent. So we wouldn't have done that if we didn't believe in the product. This is my go-to now for water filtration, bar none. Other than that, Travis, really appreciate your time, really appreciate your insight, really appreciate all the good things you're doing, like S2 mentioned.
Oh, yeah, no, honestly, thanks for having me again. And Mike, I'll keep an eye out for an email or text with that address for me to send you something that I'm not supposed to.
That's awesome.
Okay. I won't remember what it is.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't know what we're talking about.
What?
All right. So we have a quick message from CCW Safe, and then Mike and S2 and I will be back to discuss UFOs. Thanks again, Travis.
No, thank you, guys.
If you carry a firearm and discharge your weapon in self-defense, you could face hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and expenses. So carry the protection of CCW Safe, Self-Defense Legal Services membership. Upfront payment of all criminal and civil defense costs with no out-of-pocket for members. unlimited defense budgets, unmatched legal expertise. Carry the same level of support police officers have. Carry CCW Safe, the highest caliber.
All right, and we're back. And now we're into S2's realm. Absolutely, as far as UFOs are concerned. So early this morning, you all may remember Chuck. Here we go. All right. So y'all may remember Chuck and Bruce, who joined us on election night, and then they were back last weekend with John on an episode as well. I got a text from them this morning with this particular article, the infamous War of the Worlds, and how it was just a fluke. So if you go to patreon.com/survival dispatch, sign up for free. You can get the briefs for every episode, including the one tonight. And this is a really interesting article, how, you know, I think I've mentioned this before. Does life imitate art, or does art imitate life? That's the million-dollar question. So I want to mention that something kind of breaking news as far as this drone situation is concerned. It's not just drones flying over the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, PA, and it's happening in California, Temecula in particular. But there was a Chinese citizen recently arrested for flying a drone over the Space Force base, Vandenberg, right there, as you can see in the picture. And I mean, this stuff is a, I don't know what the right word is, pretty much a mystery right now. Mike, give me your take, and then S2 after that.
Dude, flying a bird over Vandenberg, dude, that is, there's a lot of places that you could fly over that belong to the U.S. government. Don't go to Vandenberg, man. No, I get real twitchy about that place. That's where they test all the ICBMs from, and yeah, that is not cool. Now, what's flying in all kinds of other places? Man, I have not been paying attention to it. That is the twos world.
All right, take it away, S2.
You're still muted.
Yeah.
As far as the Chinese flying drones over military bases, that's been going on for a long time. It's just recently come to light in the public due to the attention that's being placed on objects that are being seen in the sky. Being an avid drone builder and pilot, there's a number of things that some of the stuff that I've seen that can be relatively easy to explain. I've been looking at a lot of the footage, and I've been seeing different configurations of what look to be hobby, maybe professional level drones, but they're different configurations, like Cinelifters, which are the really big drones, and then you've got your dead cat configuration out there, which is basically the four-leg, looks like a flying dead cat. But seriously, that's what it's called.
I had never heard that before. It's interesting.
But then you've also got, if people haven't been keeping up with what's been going on in the development of this stuff, these drones can be massive in size, massive. They use them for crop dusting. They use them for all sorts of industrial applications. These things can pick up an IBC tote that's full of water or chemical or whatever and carry it multiple runs around acreage on a farm. So the fact that they're this big doesn't really surprise me. Now, one of the things that I have been running across here recently is that the Japanese just released, or rather unveiled, their new flying car. I believe it was Toyota, in conjunction with another company. Hang on, let me pull that note up real quick. Yeah, Toyota Motor Corp startup moving in conjunction with Joby Aviation. They just released this they just unveiled this flying car, and they're looking to start production, I think over in Saudi Arabia, if I'm not mistaken. But they just conducted their first domestic test flight of this thing, and it's a six motor vertical takeoff that can fly just like a regular old drone. So these things have been in development for a while. I just saw a kid the other day build one that he got on it and flew it while he was on it.
No shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, these, like I said, this stuff's been around for years, years. What is flying around out there? First off, if I was somebody of an enemy and I wanted to do reconnaissance or whatever, I wouldn't put something so obvious up in the air. Okay. I would be using smaller drones to do this because some of these drones now can be configured and built to fly up to 10 miles. You don't need to have a big drone out there that has lights on it that everybody can see. So I'm ruling this out as being an enemy combatant, putting these up in the air. That's stupid. That's not smart reconnaissance. I don't know what they are, but like I said, I see multiple familiar configurations to me that seem to be pretty explainable.
All right. Well, I've got a number of posts and videos pulled up on X. We'll just pick through them one at a time and get everybody's comments on them. So here's the first one. This is a Jesse Waters clip, and let me see, it's 3 minutes long. So I'm not going to play this entire video, but we'll get the gist of it.
Well, I think the first two words cover the whole thing.
Attention to the FBI, and they're clueless.
The Bureau is actively investigating the situation you mentioned, just the unexplained sighting of drone activity. We do not attribute that to an individual or a group yet.
Is public safety at risk? Are we concerned that there are nefarious intentions that could cause either national security or a public safety incident that would put Americans at risk?
There's nothing that is known that would lead me to say that, but we just don't know, and that's the concerning part.
So the FBI either lied under oath just there, or they're completely in the dark about our national security. Even the governor of New Jersey admits he has no idea what's going on.
These are apparently very, as I understand it, very sophisticated. The minute you get eyes on them, they go dark. We've got military assets. We've got utility assets. We've got the president-elect's one of his homes here. This is something we're taking deadly seriously. We've got good cooperation out of the feds, but we need more.
So I want to mention that there's been a fair bit of activity over Bedminster, the Trump golf course, and he has a home there as well in New Jersey. And that was particularly concerning to some people on Trump's security team. Mike, was there anything in that video that caught your attention that you'd like to comment on?
Yeah, sorry, I popped up earlier. Yeah, I mean, the first two words in the whole thing say the entire thing. FBI, what was it? FBI baffled or something like that? You know, FBI clueless. Yeah, that covers the whole thing. Yeah, and I mean, let's face it. Over here, let's see. So where'd it go? It disappeared. How can the government? Lynn H75. How can the government say they don't know what these are, and yet on the other hand, they will say they aren't dangerous? I said, well, they're incompetent. So that covers it now, doesn't it? Anyway.
Speaking out of both sides of their mouth, I mean, I'm with her. I'm not buying it. You can't tell me that it's nothing, but you don't know what it is. Clearly, it's something. What that is may remain up for debate amongst the rest of us. But I mean, do you believe that the authorities have zero knowledge on this?
It's a Kevin Bacon moment. The whole thing is a Kevin Bacon moment. Remain calm. All is well. If anybody remembers what movie that's from, and I'm not going to say it out loud.
Fair enough. S2, I mean, what are we supposed to think when government officials get up there and say things like that?
So let's go back to Christopher Wray being grilled in Congress. And what was the one thing that he kept coming back and saying? Well, I need that other $500 million that you guys didn't give us when we asked for it so that we can investigate this properly. Yeah. My question is, what does the FBI know about drones? Nothing. They don't know anything about it. Yet they're going to turn around. This is setting up the, I don't want to say narrative, but it's setting up the excuse to ask the question, hey, can we have our $500 million before Ray quits? That's all this is.
Right. Too funny.
And secondly, what does the FBI, maybe I'm just talking out of inexperience with this, but what does the FBI have to do with national security? They are a domestic law enforcement agency. They are not internet. Well, I guess they are international to a degree now, but they're not supposed to be. They're an intelligence gathering organization. They're not a law enforcement organization anymore.
Yeah, good questions that we don't have any answers to. But let's go from the right coast to the left coast and watch this short video on what's happening in Cali. By the way, so lots of drones are being spotted above Temecula, California. Resident went to a tall mountain to try and get a better camera view. Shows there's at least 10 on camera. Says they're about the size of cars. Shows how insanely high they're able to fly for drones.
So if y'all can see, there are drones all over the sky in Temecula. We came up here to see if we could figure out where they're gonna go, but before they come down, they turn the lights off. So we're gonna go in the morning, maybe sometime during the day. There's so many. It's like 10. And they're all over the city. And considering how high we up, they can go all the way up here. We saw one a little bit ago, all the way up here, so they can get high. These are not just like cheapy drones. These are real expensive, high-flying drones. I'm so cold.
So I'm going to stop it there, and S2, I'm going to go to you quickly before I go back to Mike. But let's assume that this is not anything to do with, like, say, terrorist groups, foreign governments, anything like that, and that these are, being driven by just average everyday Americans. What do these things cost to be that size, to be the size of a car or an SUV?
Well, I didn't see one that was the size of a car to start with, but you could be looking at $2,500 for one, for a really good size agricultural drone. But I've never seen one the size of a car, except for the car that the Toyota Corporation just unveiled. and these things have been in development since 2012.
Okay, so
but what I can say is that there is an entire industry built around flying drones. Okay, right? I shouldn't even say an industry. There's a niche around flying drones. If you ever look out in your sky above your house, you've got these real estate companies out there that are hiring drone pilots to come out there and take surveys of your house. You've got house contractors like roofers and things like that use the same companies that the real estate companies use to come out and take pictures of your house. That's how they know what shape your house is in before they even get there. That was shared to me by a roofing contractor here recently. I didn't know that. And I'm like, I don't think I gave you guys or permission to come over and take pictures of my damn house. But there's whole industries built around this. There's regular photographers that are going out there. Cities will hire drone pilots to go out and fly over them and say, look how pretty our city is at night. This is not an uncommon thing.
So there's a lot of accounts of these things being the size of SUVs and cars. The next video actually states that they're even larger than that, somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 feet by 40 feet. As far as the roofing industry is concerned, that industry has used aerial photography for eons. It costs a ton of money, and it's not done with drones. It's done with actual planes that crisscross the state. And we had a subscription to it. I've done a lot of work in the construction industry, and the quality of imagery is so good, so phenomenal, that you could do a quote for an entire commercial roofing system off of just the aerial views without going on site and doing anything there. You can plot dimensions and everything that makes it really, really accurate. But we'll pull up this next one here. Eyewitness says the drone he saw over New Jersey was 40 feet by 40 feet, larger than a 2-car garage. When did we start allowing this in our airspace, or does the government know more than they claim? So let's play this guy here.
How is it possible that everyone from the New Jersey governor to the FBI have no idea what these are? Joining us now is my friend Evan Cutler, who witnessed one of the drones up close in New Jersey. He took some pictures as well. Evan, good to see you. So Evan described to me what he saw, and I said, you got to come on the show to talk about it. Evan, what did you see?
Well, I saw a drone if it was a drone, who knows what it was, but it was not the drone you see people fly. There's the picture. It was the size of a school bus, literally the size of my 2-car garage. Well, I have a 1-car garage, the size of a 2-car garage.
And what happened when you saw it or you started taking pictures, et cetera?
Well, to back up a little bit, I'm coming home from On Patrol Live. It's 12:30 at night, and I get into Montclair, New Jersey, and I see the full moon. And I'm like, well, it can't be a full moon because the full moon was 2 weeks ago. All of a sudden, it's getting closer and closer. And then first, I think it's a plane, then a helicopter. Then it's hovering right over the woods as you're entering Montclair. And it's a drone literally 40 feet wide by 40 feet wide, hovering right over the woods. I pull over, get out of my car, forget about the phone. I'm just like looking at this thing, wondering what the heck it is. Then I said, oh, I should take a picture. I grab my phone, starts, the second it like notices I'm out there, it just starts heading south. Grab the picture. The picture looks like a dot. It looks like, at the very most, like a Plan 9 from outer space flying saucer. But when I got a good close look at it, when it was only about 100 feet off the ground, maybe 150 feet off the ground, it looked like a drone on steroids, like literally a drone the size of a garage.
So I'm going to pause that video here. It's 3.5 minutes long. We're not going to watch the whole video. Again, go to patreon.com/survival dispatch. Sign up for free. You can download the brief with all of these links. Just want to show a couple of quick things. So Eagle View and Nearmap are two of the most popular services for roofing companies. And it's all aerial photography. So it's not satellite. So it's much higher quality. If it's an urban area, they typically update it 3 or 4 times a year. If it's not a densely populated area, it might only be once or twice per year. But like I said, it has tools built into it. Both of them. This is Nearmap. The other one was Eagle View. They're both quite expensive, by the way, that you can plot out just about anything on them. And this has been around for a long time, and it really isn't related to drones per se. So moving on to the next one, New Jersey drones update. I'm hearing from multiple sources in the military that the reason why the drones are not being addressed appropriately to the public is because they are U.S. drones and they are being deployed due to a threat of biological nuclear attack. Mike, that just seems like hyperbole to me, but what do you think?
Yeah, no, man. Maybe if they were coming out of maybe if they were testing them out of like Picatinny, well, okay, so we've got Picatinny Arsenal out of there. If they're going to fly them, they're going to fly them within DoD airspace. And if you've got if you're using them in a ERG survey type situation, yeah, that's fine. Why are they so high off the ground? That doesn't make any real sense. Due to a threat of a biological nuclear attack. Well, is it biological or is it nuclear? You got to pick one because, they're not quite the same. I do want to go back and talk about the sighting over in Temecula area.
Okay.
It's not right there, but for anybody who's familiar with the Skunk Works, they do a lot of testing of their birds over the Temecula area. Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. They do that's where all of our crazy stuff gets developed that flies around. That's where stealth was developed. That's where Aurora was developed, all those sort of things. The guys at the Skunk Works may be testing something out there. That's a distinct possibility because they do kind of what they want to do. But this stuff over New Jersey, I don't know, man. I really don't know. That's I'd like to hear Tu's thoughts on that.
Go ahead, S2.
Well, I did make a comment last week that I forget what it was over, but they did have the nuke sniffing copters up last week over DC, and that was definitive that they were looking for something. It may have been the precursor to this kind of stuff that we're seeing now this week, but I don't really have any ideas about why New York, why New Jersey, why Pennsylvania, unless we're looking, and I'm going to throw this out there, unless this is possibly part of Homan's plan for mass deportations, and they're mapping things out starting up there, because he did say yesterday or day before, that they were going to be starting out in Chicago. So that's kind of in the same realm of that area. That may very well be what's going on there with these things.
Fair enough. I'm going to play a video here with Jeff Van Drew. He defected from the Democrats to the Republicans a few years ago, and he's pretty emphatic that he has information that nobody else has. But the fact that it's not backed up just makes it very suspect, in my opinion.
In focus now, Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey, member of the House Judiciary Committee on the Hill right now. How do you address this at this point?
Well, here's the real deal, Harris. You know, I'm also on the Transportation Committee, on the Aviation Subcommittee, and I've gotten to know people. And from very high sources, very qualified sources, very responsible sources, I'm going to tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off, I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones, is everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. Now, you know, we know there was a probability it could have been our own government. We know it's not our own government because they would have let us know. It could have been some really glorified hobbyists that were doing something unbelievable. They don't have the technology. But let's pretend that's possible. The third possibility was somebody, an adversarial country, doing this. Know that Iran made a deal with China to purchase drones, motherships, and technology in order to go forward. The sources I have are good. They can't reveal who they are because they are speaking to me in confidentiality. These drones should be shot down. Whether it was some crazy hobbyist that we can't imagine, or whether it is Iran, and I think it very possibly could be, they should be shot down. We are not getting the full deal, and the military is on alert with this.
Look, you've given us some pretty dire information just here, and I want to make sure that our viewers are digesting this. Iran has the capability to pull up along our eastern seaboard and launch drones the size of an SUV into the skies of several states, particularly New Jersey, where we know the incoming president has a large home, also in the same county or nearby where some of these drones in New Jersey have been seen.
All right, Mike, to you first.
Yeah, okay. So I'm getting anonymous sources information. All right, that only holds so much water with me. I'm just saying that's only going to hold so much water. Also, what tactical or strategic benefit would the Iranians get from coming over here and then flying their drones around New Jersey without actually doing anything? I mean, if you're going to go all the way across the world to do something like that, you're probably getting tracked. You get one shot for doing something like that. Any information that they want from that area, they don't need to do it with mapping or anything like that. You can pull everything off Google Earth, for crying out loud. If you're going to do it, you got to take your shot. If they brought a mothership over loaded with, say, a whole bunch of Shahed 131 drones, you launch them all and you do your attack, and you scuttle your ship and you take off in your speedboats to another boat, whatever. Okay. But you don't hang out and just fly them around. That is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. What's the benefit? What's the benefit to them?
The only thing that he said that struck a chord with me is that we should be shooting them down. What do you think of that?
I think that they should definitely be interdicted in some manner, but yeah, his theory behind it just doesn't gel with me. But yeah, I do think that some of those need to come down.
Yeah, it's very fishy. S2, thoughts on that past video and Jeff Van Drew's comment with regards to shooting them down?
That guy is unbelievably naive. That is my thought on that. Even with all of the photography and everything we're seeing, we know the photography to make things look bigger than they really are. Ask any porn star. So we know that photography can be manipulated, and that's really kind of what I was seeing in all of those shots that we were getting from these various places. Is people were zooming in to try to get a better look at what these things are. Well, guess what happens when you zoom in with photography? It gets bigger. So
what?
So as far as our own government doing this, they would tell us, yeah, he's incredibly naive in that respect. And the second part of it, if he thinks that that technology doesn't exist in the civilian world, once again, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And the whole thing that got me right off the bat, like with Mike, it's that whole Q thing again. Oh, I've got sources, but I can't tell you who they are.
Yeah, I think the first thing that we need to do is Senator, you need to come pee in this cup.
All right. So moving on to the next one. I think this lady was speaking on behalf of the Space Force earlier today. So let me get this straight. The Pentagon is aware of the drone situation. They have no evidence it's coming from a foreign entity or adversary. They are not U.S. military drones. It's not an Iranian mothership. FBI knows nothing. Local law enforcement knows nothing. None have been shot down. A total and complete breakdown of the illusion of control over U.S. airspace.
Jen, Sabrina, can you tell me what the Pentagon is doing to address this issue of drone sightings over New Jersey? It's near sensitive installations. The FBI is involved. What is the Pentagon doing?
Sure. So at this time, aware of those drone sightings that have been reported, at this time, we have no evidence that these activities are coming from a foreign entity or the work of an adversary. We're going to continue to monitor what is happening, but at no point were our installations threatened when this activity was occurring.
Can you rule out that these are American drones or U.S. military drones?
These are not U.S. military drones. Again, this is being investigated by local law enforcement. What our initial assessment here is that these are not drones or activities coming from a foreign entity or adversary.
Representative Jeff Van Drew, who is a Republican from New Jersey, was just on the air saying that Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones, and that mothership is off the coast of the east coast of the United States. Is there any truth to that?
There is not any truth to that. There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States. There's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
All right. So I'm going to go through a handful of different tabs. Pardon me. The one thing I will say with regards to the last one, I'm probably going to hell for this, but when your nipples drop below your belly button level, it's time for a boob job. Anyway, according to New Jersey State Police, drones have a wingspan of 6 feet, are also operating without lights, 6 to 7 hours of flight time, not detectable by radio frequency, difficult to detect by helicopter, highly maneuverable. Coast Guard is now involved. Then we have a mayor here in New Jersey who proposes shooting down unidentified drones to find out what they are. This is like the Chinese balloon. Why are we letting this persist, is my opinion.
Why are we letting her talk?
Yeah. Next one here is a New Jersey state rep. He drove to DC, sat in on a briefing, was given virtually no information, then drove home. I'm not going to play it. It's kind of a pretty dry interview, but it is in the brief if you want to download the brief. And this one here is somebody reporting, they're in New Jersey, that they can't get any of their drones to actually take off.
Now I want to comment on this one.
My drone does not want to go up with these things around. Battery's dead? There's no way the battery's dead. It's fully charged. It's 0. It won't let me. What is going on? Okay, these are fully charged batteries. It's 2 batteries that have died within seconds, and the drone went up and like a couple feet off the table, and then came right back down. The craziest thing. They will not fly. Like it won't fly. What the fuck? I don't believe in government conspiracies, but listen, mystery drones and people's regular drones will not go up in the air and crash out. What the fuck?
All right, I'm gonna
Try again to get the drone up.
No, this one won't even love it.
yeah, I'm gonna stop it there. So go ahead, S2, and give us your thoughts on that.
That is a DJI Mavic. Okay, the flashing lights on drones mean things. There's two things that could be wrong with that drone, and if he's saying that he has fully charged batteries in there, then it leaves it to be one thing, and that is the inertial measurement unit failed to initialize in the drone.
Fair enough.
In English.
That is so drones have gyroscopes built into their flight controller boards. Okay, and the inertial measurement unit basically is what helps to stabilize the drone in flight. And that's the only two things. When those red flashing lights show up on a Mavic, that's the only two things that can be. If it was green lights flashing, that would be typically loss of GPS signal. If it's a rapid yellow flashing light, that usually means the drone is in ATTI mode and has lost GPS signal and is causing it to drift in the wind.
So brain no worky, and she's having a problem getting it up. Got it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fair enough. So we're at the end of chapter 2, but I do want to address this. You can jam frequencies. We did it.
I also had one other thing I wanted to add too. If you go back to one of those postings that you had up there, I'm sorry for interrupting you. The one post where they were saying that they can't be detected by frequencies. Another thing to remember too is that there's technology out there right now where drones can actually hop frequencies. So, and you have to know what frequency you're looking for to be able to find it. Just a point there on that.
And frequency hopping is legal under the FCC to a certain degree. What is it, like 6 jumps a second, something like that?
6 channels per second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Compared to a Harris radio, which is 100 times per minute or second, pardon me, I should say.
Yeah.
So you can jam frequencies. We did it in World War II. The problem with this is that many of these drones now don't require any tether back to the mothership. They're powered by AI, and you can block the frequencies all you want. It doesn't stop them from undertaking their mission and making their own decisions. The first widespread use of AI drones that's been admitted to was the Israelis using them to map out the tunnels under Gaza and to kill Hamas people. But when they popped up out of the ground, one of them a few months ago killed a vehicle of UN observers because it was flying on AI and had its own opinion of what these people were. But that's a great example of you don't need frequencies or a tether back to the mothership. If they can fly in tunnels underground, there's no connectivity there. So this is not just a frequency based issue. It's much bigger than that. So like I said, we're at the end of chapter 2. Of course, chapter 3, we try to share some zany things and put a smile on your face. I do want to give a shout out to our other sponsor for this video, Native Hydrate, their branched chain amino acid drinks. First and foremost, they taste great. Most healthy stuff like this doesn't taste great, but here's my pledge to you. If you stop drinking sodas and Gatorades and all that stuff that's full of sugar and you switch to these, you will notice a tangible increase in your energy level within 24 hours. It's pretty dramatic. And at the end of the day, once you get, let's say, past 40, when I got past 40 is when I noticed it took a long time for things to heal. But if you're looking to increase your energy level, expedite recovery timeframes, it's kind of like drag racing. In drag racing, you don't show up at the track and make 1,000 changes to try and get, your best time. You have all the homework done before that. You get to the racetrack, you make a few changes based on the air density to do your best. It's the same thing when you're seeking something to raise your energy level or expedite your recovery levels. It's making the right changes individually. So that's one of several things that you can do to increase your energy level. And it is a shameless plug. They're one of our sponsors. If we didn't have sponsors, we wouldn't be able to produce 10 to 20 page briefs for each of these episodes. The volume of news that we all go through is absolutely astronomical. We shrink it down to a video each night. We shrink it down to that brief, which even if you don't watch the video, you can go consume on your own. So that's it for chapter 2. We're going to move right into chapter 3 right away. And could not agree with Elon more than this comment. Elon Musk calls Justin Trudeau an insufferable tool. How long until Trudeau cries about it? So the reason that he said this with regards to Justine Trudeau is this speech that he gave, which is just crazy.
Now, it shouldn't be that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way. We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president.
I don't know who this guy thinks he is, and pardon my language, but he can shut the fuck up. He has no say in what we do as Americans and who we elect. You were on the right course because you had some WEF puppet that you think should have been running our country. Go fuck yourself.
He feels entitled because he's Castro's son. Come on.
He's a fucking piece of shit. This stuff really bothers me because these foreign countries who think that they can interfere in our elections and think that their opinion matters and lecture us because we didn't elect a brain dead piece of shit like Kamala Harris. Zero tolerance for this. Fuck them. Slap the tariffs on them, or you get to become the governor of the 51st state.
Women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am and always will be a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government. Now, it shouldn't be that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way. We were supposed to be on a steady...
You can't listen to that a second time. Do either of you want to weigh in on Justine Trudeau?
Freaking
wait. I will always be a proud feminist.
Yeah.
Any idea the hours of fun that I could have with that?
I bet he likes to watch too.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he's the reason that there's a chair in the corner. Just saying.
All right. Kudos for that one. Well done. Oh my Lord. All right. So moving to the other end of the spectrum. So that's the beta soy boy end of the spectrum. And this is the actual alpha end of the spectrum. Donald Trump has been named Times Person of the Year, and Libs of TikTok. How it started, how's it going? That's a great picture right there. And by the way, any of our friends who are watching from other countries, if you don't like Donald Trump, we don't care. You don't have a say in who our government is. Full stop.
Look, do you want to be liberated by us or not?
Yeah, exactly. So here's Biden lecturing Trump that he's not president yet, so he can't put out all these fires. Lord only knows what's actually going to happen between now and January 20th. All right. So this is a good one here. Y'all have heard me mention this many times before with regards to the construction worker, 1-ton dually Ford, carjacker comes along, steals the truck. Another construction worker 6 feet away takes 6 shots. Not one of them hit the driver. He backs up the truck, runs over the guy, and kills him. DRT. Here you go. This is the Secret Service missed Ryan Ruth from 5 feet away.
We got 2 new revelations from the Trump Assassination Task Force. According to their report, the Secret Service agent who spotted Ryan Ruth in the bushes outside Trump's golf course was only 5 feet away when he opened fire and missed him. Not once, not twice, 6 times. He missed him 6 times from 5 feet. How does a trained agent who passed the firearms test miss a target away, 5 feet away? That's not all. The report says the Secret Service found out at 2:30 in the morning that Trump would be golfing later that day, but they didn't secure the course, allowing Ruth to camp out for 12 hours before anyone saw him. Meanwhile, Ruth appeared in federal court this morning and his legal team signaling they're going to go with the insanity defense. How convenient. Ruth's public defender said he has had multiple meetings with a mental health expert while in jail, and the witnesses who saw him before the arrest say he was hallucinating and delusional, of course. Prosecutors also revealed that Ruth has been doing a lot more writing behind bars than initially reported. Ruth has written nearly 40 letters to news outlets in an attempt to persuade them that he's an honorable guy, but they were intercepted before they reached their targets. We also know that only 17 of the 18 cell phones found in Ruth's possession belong to him. Why does he have 18 cell phones? And wait, He has 17. So who owns the last phone? And why did Ruth have it?
Yeah, so this is just crazy. I'm going to stop on this one just for a second. What wasn't mentioned there as well was the fact that he had 4 terabytes of documents related to him hunting Trump, etc. Mike, the missing from 5-6 feet away, clearly that agent was in a stressful situation, probably never done your routine of stress inoculation. How do you chalk it up to the fact that they missed that many times at point blank range? Other
Dude,
than that,
how do you statistically? I mean, statistically, I could give a 6-year-old a gun, and the chances of them hitting are higher. How do you? I need your watch.
No, I've got it's actually on mute tonight, by the way.
Yeah, we noticed.
It's gone off a few times already.
How? Just how?
Because we're out the CIA. He's the freaking Forrest Gump of the CIA.
Could very well be. That would explain a lot. That would explain all the cell phones. Just like the kid on July 13th, Matthew Crooks, having 4 overseas bank accounts, but 0 footprint on the internet and social media at a young age. I don't buy it. It's bullshit. What do you think of this S2 other than that comment of CIA? As far as the gun stuff, like you're a gun trainer, you train people on how to shoot. How do you miss at point blank range like that?
You don't. At 5 feet away. Well, you can. I mean, I've seen gunfights with police officers and bad guys where they miss everything. They unload the whole mag and miss everything. And quite to your point, that's lack of training. I mean, we are talking about DEI hires here. They've admitted to that. So there is that.
Is there any chance it could be chalked up to he missed on purpose?
I would say so. Yeah.
But law enforcement's not allowed to shoot to take warning shots. They can't do that.
I get that, but there was a lot of people, probably still are in the Secret Service, who don't like Donald Trump, and just curious if maybe they threw the game on purpose. That particular individual. Wouldn't surprise me if they did, put it that way. So,
well, they said he was hallucinating, so he did come from Hawaii. They've got some pretty good cash crop there.
Right. Breaking news: President-elect Trump has told Lockheed CEO Jim Taslett he plans to cancel the $1 trillion F-35 contract because China is winning the fighter race, while Lockheed sends executives to DEI camps. So I've got a comment to make, and then I want to hear both of your opinions on this. Did you catch the tweet, X post, whatever, that Elon did last week that said something along the lines of, while we're making F-35s, our enemies are making all of these very sophisticated drones for a fraction of the price, and we're really concentrating our time and efforts in the wrong place. Thoughts, Mike?
Actually, I think Jeff said it really, really well the other night. As far as the F-35 issue is concerned, are those plans correct plans that were leaked to them out of Lockheed? But as far as the drones go, it's apples and oranges. It's a question of, actually, it's more like apples and avocados. There are different tools in the toolbox. Yes, you want to use drones, absolutely, but there's a lot of applications where you don't use drones. You don't replace one completely and get rid of the other. I mean, the machine gun was the winning weapon of the First World War until all of a sudden the tank showed up. Did we get rid of the machine gun? No. Everything fills its own little billet in the hierarchy.
Yeah, I think where Elon was going, there have been a number of comments that have said if and when we ever go to war with China, there'll never be a pilot that flies over Chinese airspace. That it'll all be unmanned aerial assets. But
now we are behind. I will say that we are way behind because the military industrial complex wants to be able to have their big contracts.
Gotcha. S2, your thoughts on this?
as far as drones go, you ought to see the stuff they're building over in Ukraine. I mean, I've seen documentaries on this over there. They're actually building these things now. They've got Azov battalion guys over there that are piloting these drones and teaching other guys how to pilot it. But the stuff they're building them with targeting systems. They just may as well have freaking laser guided rockets that they're running at these tanks, and they're only advancing them. They're saying this year alone they're going to have 1,000 of those things. Wow. And they're building them just like I do on my desk at home. So, as far as winning the fighter war, they're already working on 6th gen fighter jets now. And 7th gen is on the horizon. So as far as us losing the fighter jet thing, there's something there that canceling of that contract with Lockheed, there's something there that Trump knows that he's not unveiling at this point. As he said in prior speeches and all of his rallies, they got shit you ain't never seen.
Yeah. But and also look at Trump's standard tactic. He comes out with these things up front, his big arm twist maneuver that he starts with, and then he backs down from there. I mean, he starts with his leverage point and he works his way back from there.
Yes.
We meet in the middle.
Tariffs would be a great example of that big stick, right? So, Mike, you've made the comment multiple times in the past that we're always fighting the last war. I have a friend of mine who's an international arms dealer, and he sold a lot of stuff to Ukraine. He spent a lot of time over there since this conflict broke out, and it's his opinion that we're using this conflict to learn more and fine tune all of our stuff with drones, so that when we do fight the next war, it's the last one that Ukraine fought, but not us, sort of thing.
Right.
Theoretically.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every time I go up and sit down with my counterparts that are still active duty, they're always like, hey, check this last brief that we got out, and we'll sit there and we'll watch drone stuff for an hour. We are learning. We are 100% learning from what's happening there. And I hate to say it, but it feels like a rerun of the Spanish Civil War.
Interesting. The other thing I want to add, just because S2, hit on this, is somewhere behind me here, there's a ballistic helmet that has a PVS 14 on it that is made in Ukraine. And it's a really decent piece of equipment because, as you know, most PVS 14s have a 30-degree angle of view. This one's 40 degrees. And when I change from one to the other, that extra 10 degrees is pretty noticeable, especially for somebody like me who's entirely blind in one eye. So the last one here, funny, haha, you guys will get a kick out of this one. High-tech surveillance drone or target practice. So good times for all the rednecks out there to do this good stuff. Anyway, all right, moving on from there. So homework wise, what can our audience do in light of everything we've discussed on this episode? So I've got 3 of them fairly quickly here, and I'm going to bring it up on screen as I go through it, and then Mike and I still have the chance to weigh in with their thoughts. But number 1, consider donating to the Sawyer Foundation. These people, you heard from Travis, these are just a small family owned and operated business that's having a huge impact. And the altruism of what they're doing around the world as far as water is concerned, 29 million. I mean, that's just awesome from a small family owned business. Lots to be proud of. And if you can afford to donate to somebody, this is a good option for you to do so. They have a big store on Amazon. All of their products can be found there. And as Travis mentioned, they have an e-commerce lit up on their website as well, which is Sawyer.com. And the next one would be Kurt's book. This guy's a genius. He's done a great job. So if homework wise, if you can donate to Sawyer Foundation, it'll be going to a good cause. Review the contents of your get home bag, go bag, whatever you want to call it, and consider adding Sawyer water filtration products. And if you live here in the Southeast where we got lots of critters and bugs, consider their bug repellent as well. And I'm always keen to learn from other people, that have been successful like Kurt has. And I've actually already ordered this book. So I know Travis is going to send one to us, but I wanted to hear what Kurt had to say. So in light of all that, Mike, any thoughts on homework for the audience?
So, as we always say, the more you know, the less you need. So, while having the tool is a great thing, all right, you also need to know how to use the tool. So, understand what your threats are from water, and understand the proper applications of the equipment. Because one day you may find yourself without said piece of equipment, but by God, it is a great place to start. I stand behind it big time. And does it do everything? No, it doesn't do everything. It's not a silver bullet. There's no such thing. But man, in its class, it's the way to go.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, Mike, I'm serious. This lifted a huge weight off my shoulders, because after that episode Denny and I had, I was so pissed off at the amount of time that we wasted on it. I was like, I don't want to ever see another water filtration product again the rest of my life. But fortunately, Sawyer pulled through. So they solved a big problem, a big hole in our strategy. S2, any homework for the audience?
Yeah, situational awareness. Let's talk about that with what's going on in the world right now and what's going on within our world right now. You know, the whole speculation about the drone things and everything, you have to be aware of what's going on around you as far as what the technology is that's out there. If this hasn't sparked people to go out there and start digging around and finding the same stuff that I can find and understanding what it is and what's actually going on, then I don't know what to tell you. So I would say, when you see things like this, go out and just do a little bit of cursory digging around. You'll find out that it's not as uncommon as you think it is, or what they want you to think it is. And secondly, if you haven't seen it yet, this is not a plug by in any way, shape, or form, but this is very useful information. If you haven't seen it yet, watch Sean Ryan's podcast from today. It's a 2-hour long. Definitely has some impacting information in it that everybody needs to be aware of.
All right, appreciate that. As far as the situational awareness is concerned, at that macro level, I would say that one of the value propositions that we have at Survival Dispatch News is we collectively go through a massive amount of data across the entire spectrum, then condense it down into SDN episodes as well as the daily brief. So for those people who have full-time jobs and kids and all that stuff, if you come to SDN, we condense that. That's what we do. That's one of our main value propositions. So if you don't have the time to go down all those rabbit holes, we've done it. We've done the work for you. And, again, we choose stuff from across the spectrum. We don't have a dog in the hunt. We have no dog in the hunt at all. We're not a propaganda arm like mainstream media is.
Well, we're certainly not doing it for the money.
Yeah, boy, howdy. Mike, we're at that stage of the night where you get to take over with the conflicted question.
Okay. Well, one thing that I do have one small alibi, and it just popped into my head. All the people watching the drones, and we've talked about this before, Chris. What did they do?
Yep.
Yeah. Haven't we talked about that before? Somebody flies past, distributes a bunch of fentanyl, lands in your mouth and eyes. I'm just saying, things.
Well, Mike, let's just say this much, because we've been covering this for a couple of years now. And of course, when you and I made the prediction based on the intel that we were given, that there were plans on behalf of enemy nation states and terrorists to attack open air venues in America with drones, people like, oh, you guys are full of shit. You're a bunch of doomsday preppers, blah, 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 blah. A couple days after that, a DJI flies into the Cleveland Browns stadium, Thursday night football. Everybody stands around staring at it, and then a few days after that, front page of sam.gov, the government looking for RFPs on EMP-based weapons to take down drones, but not completely destroy them, so we can gather some intel. This is a serious, serious threat. And what I would add to your comment, Mike, is that if you're in public somewhere and you see drones coming for your location, get out of the immediate area. It's high probability that nothing good will come out of that. So anyway, Mike, conflicted question.
Okay, conflicted question of the night. Want to hear from everybody out there in the audience. Okay, get into the comments section and start mixing it up. But first, I don't see a whole lot of thumbs out there. I don't see a whole lot of likes, shares, subscribes, all the things that are necessary for the algorithm. Come on, give us a hand here. It's the only thing we've got. We have a terrible existence. All right, conflicted. Clinton Eugene Clint Curtis is an American attorney, computer programmer, and ex-employee of NASA and ExxonMobil, who is notable for making a series of whistleblower allegations about his former employer and about Republican Congressman Tom Feeney. Why does this sound familiar? For some reason. He testified under oath in front of the U.S. House Judiciary members in Ohio, alleging that in 2000, he was hired by Congressman Tom Feeney to take out in 2000 to build a prototype software package that would secretly rig an election to sway the result 51-49 to a specified side. Do you believe the federal elections in your country could be rigged? Why? Boy, this aged like hot milk.
Yeah, no kidding. So I'll go first. Absolutely, it's been used in our own country. And for anybody who wants some proof of this, go look up Hammer and Scorecard, Dennis Montgomery. Dennis Montgomery was a CIA asset computer programmer. He wrote the software Hammer and Scorecard, which was used by the CIA to steal elections around the world. And then in 2020, it was used against us on the voting machines here to steal the election in favor of John Brennan / Obama / Joe Biden. So not only is it happening in other countries, it's been happening here. And I would also argue that it happened in this past election, but we were fortunately able to make the election too big to rig. More people turned out. But even with that being said, here's the $1 million question, by the way. Where did the extra 15 million votes from 2020 go?
Dead people.
Clearly.
Somewhere, right? So S2, go ahead and give us your thought.
Oh, well, they claim that 17 to 18 million have died from that thing.
Yep.
So there you go.
The thing.
Yeah, the stuff in the thing. But yeah, federal elections in our country, yeah, they've been rigged for a long time. It's either been through direct ballot box stuffing or through hanging chads or through electronic means. Another one that you can go out there and watch is the series by Jeff O'Donnell called Fingerprints of Fraud. You can go look that one up. Jeff O'Donnell, I've worked with him for the last 5 so years on this stuff, and yeah, he knows. We know what's going on. We'll put it that way.
100%. Mike, bring it home.
Like I said, this question just aged like warm milk. I mean, it's yes, yeah, 100%, yeah. Can they be? Yes. Have they been? Yes. Are the dirty, nasty little fingerprints on it? Yes. They're caught. So, yeah.
Yeah, good answer. So we'll be back tomorrow night, usual time, 7 p.m. Eastern, for a special Friday the 13th episode of Survival Dispatch News. And most likely it's going to be a news roundup of all the top things at the top of the news cycle this week. But that's it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. God bless America.